Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision further down the road. Today, we'll be talking about an e-commerce business for sale, and I have the seller with me today, who's Dan. Welcome to the show, Dan, and how are you doing today?
Hey, Vinny, I'm doing well, thanks. Appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to talking about the business today.
Yeah, the pleasure is definitely all mine, and equally, I'm excited to talk about your business and find the details of it and just to find out a bit more about yourself. But just before we get there, let me give a brief summary of the business that we're discussing today. So today's listing is an e-commerce and Amazon FBA business created in August 2019 in the health and fitness niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $2,018 and $286, and it makes an average of $68,568 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are the domain and all the site's contents and files, an Amazon Seller Central account with 3 SKUs, an email list with over 10,000 subscribers, social media accounts, 2 trademarks, SOPs, brand assets, affiliate accounts, supplier contracts and relationships, and copywriter contracts. Please note that inventory isn't normally included in the listing price, and further details can be provided to active buyers. You can head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 52741 to learn more about the business. And if you want to purchase the asset, please remember to unlock the listing first. Now that you've given a very general overview of the business, Dan, let's find out a bit more about yourself. Can you share with me what your background is in building or running online businesses?
Yeah, really, this is my first online business, or actually second. I started 2 pretty much at the same time, so I still consider this one my first, but aside from, that not much background in running an online business before this, I did go to school for entrepreneurship and business management. And then my day job before I started this business was as a business analyst. So certainly business background in that regard. But in terms of getting into the online space, this was new for me and kind of learned as I went through the journey.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you've been in that sort of entrepreneurial circle and have that mindset, like you say, with that business background. Can you share with me why did you end up settling for e-commerce like dropshipping and FBA as the chosen business models for this business in particular?
Yeah, just because to me it was extremely powerful business model. Before creating, the website for the business, I first learned about Amazon FBA and how basically you can essentially send inventory into Amazon and essentially have the largest supply chain and infrastructure in the world. So for them to take your product and handle the distribution from there, to me, was extremely powerful. Not to mention, obviously, it's the largest marketplace in the world as well. So, that was kind of the motivating factor to get behind this sort of e-commerce business. And then, of course, obviously, it's a pretty low overhead. You can pretty much work from anywhere as long as, you've got the infrastructure in place to house and hold your inventories. So those were very attractive pieces of the business and reason why I decided to kind of go down this path.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Can you share with me how you came up with the idea to start this business in particular, selling products in this niche?
Yep. So it's in the fitness niche. The segment we're in specifically in the fitness industry is growing segment over the past, I'd say 3 or 4 years. It's been growing and gaining in popularity. So to me, I saw an opportunity there, not to mention the fitness industry in general. This business was started by obviously myself and my wife. We're actually both ex-collegiate athletes, so we kind of have a background and a passion for staying in shape and continuing maintaining our fitness well beyond our college years. So it was a space I wanted to get into that I knew pretty well and had a passion for. So it made sense to go down this road with this niche.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It sounds like there's a vested interest in there, given your backgrounds from obviously yourself and your wife being ex-collegiate athletes, so that makes sense. As you were learning about online businesses and e-commerce in particular, were there any resources that you found to be really helpful to help you skill up and get up to speed?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do any of the guru stuff. I know there's a lot of courses out there and these gurus on YouTube, etc., to try and teach you how to run an FBA business. And not saying that they're not good at what they do or help you, but the path I went down was similar, but I just kind of found a lot of podcasts on YouTube that were free of just people interviewing others that are in this business and having success and kind of learning the ropes of logistically how to operate an FBA business or an e-commerce business, and how to source a product, how to ship it, how to get it into Amazon. So really not so much on the business building or brand building side, but the actual implementation of how you execute getting a product from A to B to finally ending up in Amazon's warehouses, and then of course building your listing. So I'd say the number one resource for me when I was first, trying to learn everything was those podcasts and videos on YouTube. It was great because they were a free resource as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think a lot of people in our space as well, I think flock to the same spaces to try and learn. So definitely feel you on that. Dan, the business is doing really well. You've managed to scale it to an impressive size in the past 18 months or however long. Our listeners are going to want to know, why are you selling the business right now instead of staying with it and growing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really the main reason is because my wife and I are expecting our first child in August. And my wife actually, she works a little bit with the business, but she also still has her day job. So I'd say about 90% of the business I'm managing and running on a daily basis. So with a newborn on the way, it's just kind of feel like it might be tough to manage both a business and, a newborn. So figuring before August comes, or maybe soon thereafter, kind of maybe this is my baby right now, the business, but I have a new baby that's going to require a lot more of my attention.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I guess first off, congratulations on the new edition. That definitely makes sense. As soon as the small little baby comes out, that might take up just a lot more time. So
yeah, our whole lifestyle right now is going to be completely different in a few months. So
for sure, absolutely makes sense. Let's dig into your experience then as you were scaling this business. Was there anything you learned that you would apply to future sites, other businesses in the e-commerce space?
Yeah, and I guess this answer is going to be kind of more big picture rather than technical. As I mentioned earlier, this business was 1A or 1B because I did have another one that I started pretty much at the same time, and that one actually failed. And the reason was because we were building a brand and had products that honestly I didn't have much experience in and didn't have a ton of passion with. And, it kind of showed in how we tried to position that brand and position the product. It was a little bit off the mark. So my number one takeaway from that is you got to be in something you love and something and something you have passion for, or else it's going to be very hard to be successful at it. So that's my number one takeaway.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I guess from a high level perspective as well. When you first started, were there any tools or software that helped you build the business?
Yeah, I did use some of the Amazon tools to kind of use like Jungle Scout, those sorts of softwares where you kind of look at the inventory of other products and how they're selling and kind of where the market's going with those. So I did use that a little bit when I was just first starting out, just kind of getting a feel of, this whole Amazon space and, trying to pick a product, if you will. But after we started this current business and kind of had a clear vision and path, stopped using those platforms just because we didn't really need it anymore. Other than that, currently not really. A great little one is Canva. It's the online, basically, editing platform where you can kind of have pictures and, make social media posts and whatnot. So that's been kind of helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely great shouts there in terms of software that can help you, especially if you're not like a pro in those areas, definitely gives you a leg up in those areas.
It was good to kind of have some vision into what's going on behind the scenes that otherwise you're kind of going in blind, especially if you're pretty new at it. So in that sense, it was helpful. But yeah, once we had a vision of what we wanted to do, then it was kind of, we're on our own after that.
Yeah, for sure. I guess on the other side of things then, was there anything that you tried that didn't give you the ROI that you were hoping for?
Yeah, a few things. One, advertising, and I certainly don't claim to be an expert in paid advertising. And most of the advertising that we did or have done, I was doing myself, and the ROI wasn't quite there, both on the website side of it, Google PPC, and also on the Amazon PPC side of it. Just wasn't seeing the return that I was hoping for. So actually about a year ago, we cut out all advertising altogether. The only advertising we do right now is some display retargeting, and that's at a very low level. So in that sense, for my skill level of paid ads, I wasn't getting the return I was hoping for. But some other things, we tried some influencer campaigns that, didn't yield as high a return as we had hoped going into the campaign. But, those are also learning opportunities where you kind of see what works and what doesn't. And even though you don't get the return you want, you gain something data-wise that you wouldn't have if you didn't try it anyway. So not a complete loss.
Yeah, I hear you. It's one of those things like failure is the hardest, but sometimes the best teacher, as long as you know how to learn from those, like you say, failed experiments. I guess it teaches you a way of how not to do things so that you can get to the point when you know how to do it, for sure. Let me ask you, in terms of your traffic and your marketing, where does the majority of the traffic come from? Is it organic search, or is there any paid advertising involved?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we don't do any paid advertising except for the displayed retargeting. So those ads are going to people who have already been to our site. So the majority of our traffic comes from affiliates, referrals, direct searches, and organic searches. And that's really probably 90% of the traffic is from those areas. Yeah, so that's most of it.
Gotcha. I guess what currently do in terms of marketing right now then, like what the tasks involved?
Yeah, so a lot of our marketing is PR related and affiliate related, mixing in of course some influencers and ambassadors as well. So I'm a big believer in having other people advocate for your brand, and which is basically what affiliates and the PR is doing for you. So, the marketing consists of sourcing out blogs and publications and influencers who might have an audience that's interested in the products we offer, and reaching out to them and pretty much pitching them on why we think we'd be a good fit for them or for their website or their blog. So that's the lion's share of the marketing.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Can you tell me about what type of work that you need to do to maintain the business on maybe a day-to-day or even a weekly basis?
Yep, so the maintenance, so if we're not obviously trying to grow the business, the maintenance is pretty straightforward. I think I spend about 15 hours a week answering emails from customers, so customer support essentially, about 5 hours a week working with our supplier to make sure the inventory is, on schedule for being produced and the shipping is on track and everything involved in the supply chain. And then I'd say about 5 hours or so just maintaining the website, making updates, refreshing pictures, etc., adding content. So all in all, I think about 25 hours a week, just maintaining the business as it is.
Yeah, gotcha. Can you share with me what's the process of getting the inventory from manufacturers to like your 3PL or the Amazon FBA warehouses?
Yep. So all of our products, actually, we have one supplier for, which makes it really nice. And this is the same supplier we've been working with since day one. So we have a really great relationship with them. I actually speak with my contact there almost on a daily basis, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes just to check in. We're always in contact. And the way we're in contact is over Skype. So it works out pretty easily. We just chat through Skype. The communication is great. So essentially, to walk you through what would happen. So let's say we need to order new inventory. Basically, I just reach out to my contact, say, hey, we need, X units of this model, and the order's placed. We send over the wire for a 30% deposit, and it's about 30 days until the goods are produced. And then, we pay the balance on the goods and they ship it out. We ship at sea. So then the transit time typically is about 30 to 40 days till it reaches the port here in the U.S. And then from there, UPS or FedEx or whoever picks it up to either our Amazon FBA or our 3PL warehouses, which we currently have in California and Pennsylvania. So that's kind of the journey from start to end on the supply chain portion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you also break down what's the share of revenue between the e-commerce side and FBA?
Yeah, so on the e-commerce side, that's the bulk of our business. It's about 75% of our revenue is through our website and 25% is through Amazon.
Gotcha. Let's shift over to the opportunities. I mean, if you were to stay with the business, what are some of the ways that you would think about trying to grow it?
Yeah, there's really a lot of things that we could be doing to grow the business. And really that's areas where I'd probably outsource some of the marketing to, just because I don't have that expertise myself. So I'd want someone else to do it. And that would, of course, be paid advertising. So obviously we're not doing hardly any paid advertising right now. And that's a big, opportunity that we're kind of missing out on. So that's number one. The other thing would be expanding our product portfolio. So we have 3 SKUs right now. We're actually working on a 4th, but we want to work on another segment in the fitness industry that will expand our SKU count to anywhere from 3 to 10. So there's opportunity there to grow. And I think that's kind of the next steps that I would be taking if I hold on to the business moving forward.
Yeah, I think it sounds like there's really interesting avenues to explore for the person who's going to take over it. I mean, obviously all businesses have inherent risks with them. What would you say are some of the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
Well, probably the biggest risk is it is a competitive market. The fitness industry, it can be pretty crowded. So staying on top of that and making sure, whoever's the next owner or even myself is making sure we're still keeping our brand equity and not only maintaining where we are right now, but of course, obviously building that. Otherwise, you could get lost in the mix pretty quickly. So competitive market, I'd say, is number one. The other portion of that is supply chain management, especially these days. Obviously, this past year has changed the game for so many companies, not just e-commerce, but brick and mortar, everyone. So the way shipping has gone and the way working with our supplier has gone 6 months ago versus today is a little bit different. So in that sense, the unknown of, right now the lead time's about 30 or 40 days shipping wise, but we saw it at times due to delays and just, reduced workforce due to COVID that those shipping times almost doubled. So there's always risk there. So I'd say that's probably the number 2 risk to keep in mind.
That's great to share. Last few questions from myself, Dan. How much support are you offering buyers?
Yeah, I'm pretty open to offering support. I obviously want to see this business continue to do well. So really, as long as the buyer needs anywhere from 30 to 60 days, I can be there to offer support.
Great to hear. Are you willing to commit to a non-compete?
Yes.
Awesome. And are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out, like seller financing?
Yep, no problems there either.
Cool. Last question from me then. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, first and foremost, we're very profitable right now with a limited amount of marketing in terms of paid advertising. So someone who steps in, who has that expertise in Amazon. So Amazon, we're doing, like I said, 25% of our revenue is through Amazon, but I'm almost literally doing nothing to promote that. So that's a very, I guess, open opportunity or big opportunity to grow the business. Someone who has a more savvy Amazon FBA experience than I do can really grow that portion of the business. So to me, that's a huge opportunity, and why I think, whoever's potentially going to buy this business can see a lot of growth and a lot of scalability there. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, it is a competitive market, but I think we've done a great job so far with building up our brand equity through the PR, through the affiliate network we've built up, and through working with our influencers and ambassadors.
That's definitely great to hear. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that you think I might have missed?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. If anyone has questions on something that I didn't go over, I'm, of course, always available and happy to answer any questions.
Great stuff. Dan, it's been a pleasure having you on today's episode, and we really hope to see your business getting picked up in the very near future by the right buyer.
Appreciate it, Vinny. Thanks for the time, and talk to you soon.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 52741. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked the listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.